Hi, Shahzad, Sheikh, Motoring Middle East, and behind the camera my colleague Imthishan, Giado, and we're here with the new LX570. This is a 2016 model. You know that from the front. Look at the grille on this thing. Now, the LX has actually had what they call the spindle grille, what Lexus calls the spindle grille, what I call the Predator grille. They've had this since 2012. But before it was just sort of an outline. Now this is a proper grille. You know, it's very bold, it's very confident. Few other changes on the front are these new LED lights on here. Let me show you with the key. If I do that, then you should be able to see the indicator swipe like that on the front there. Very bold, very aggressive, very confident new look on this LX. This is the Platinum Edition. It's top of the range. It's 450,000 dirhams, and for that you get these 21-inch. You know, otherwise it's very, very familiar. If you've owned one of these before, if you're familiar with the Lexus LX or indeed the Land Cruiser, because of course that's what it is based on, you'll be very familiar with the shape. A few changes here at the back. You can see these new L-shaped tail lights, as they call them. So that's quite distinctive. That's a new feature on this 570. So let's see if I can open the boot. I have to be honest, this has been hit or miss for me. Sometimes this has worked like now, or sometimes it hasn't like now for some reason. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or if that's the way it is. So anyway, you can open it like that, and let me just show you. I got a few rubbish things in here, but anyway, that is strong enough to sit on. Pretty decent sized boot. Little things here I noticed earlier. Two little compartments. That one's got a toolkit in it, so that's quite useful. And then this one's empty, so you could hide stuff in there. But actually, you probably want to put your triangle, you know, your emergency triangle that you're all supposed to have in that one. So decent enough space in here. That is the headrest for the middle of the second row of seats, and I've actually taken that off because it was obstructing my rear view through the mirror. So there's a space. I'm just removing this stuff because I just want to show you. These are the two seats, and they're up at the sides here like this, and you can bring them down through this here. So you just press the button there, and then you find it comes down, and once you've done that, you just pull that, and you've got it like that. Now you can also do that. Now, do you have to do that manually for it to go back? No, you don't, because again, you just press the button, and that's because I've got that seat set far back. Off it goes, and back it should go into position. So that's quite handy. Whilst I should have said whilst we were here as well, that even the two, if you can just look around here, even the two, oh, be quiet. Even the two little seats at the back, they get a little cubby box, a little kind of vent thing, and two cup holders on each side. So you're certainly not going to go thirsty in this thing. Right, as I was mentioning, the second row slides and the backs tilt, and we'll show you that now by getting into the back. So this is the back of the car. I am of course about just over 6'2". Front seat is actually in its recline position because it moves back when you get out of the car. When you get into the car and start it, car is off at the moment, then the seat actually moves into position. So it's in its recline position. Considering that, fair bit of space here. Big old center console here, and oh, these seats, of course, there's a little button here, and it goes, I can actually move it, you see, move it forward and move it back. To be honest, this feature is probably more for the third row passengers to give them a little bit more leg room back there. Great leather trim, excellent quality stuff here. The little box here, I think that's a charger device. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like it might be some sort of a charger device there. And you get your own AC controls here as well. So this thing has got something that was introduced in the current generation LS, which is called Climate Concierge. And what that does basically, it adjusts the temperature individually to the passenger to compensate for their body temperature. So if you're driving along and you've picked up your mate and your mate's been standing outside, he's a bit hot and bothered, normally they get in and they'll whack the AC right up. You don't have to do that. The climate automatically adjusts for that person. So this car actually has that feature. Down here there's a couple of vents. There's a vent here on the door. HDMI, volume control, earphones, and 12-volt supply down here. That's of course for these, which are about 11.5 I think inch screens on the back, individual front and rear. So all very nice, very comfortable, lots of space, good visibility out here, shaded windows, and of course blinds. I think it's time to get in the front and give it a drive. Hey, here we are.
Hello
Okay.
there.
Right, let's start this up. So actually, I've got this camera on here, and you can see depress brake pedal, then start, and it's a good thing, you know, I wouldn't have known how to do that otherwise.
Is there any car that starts without that sequence? We never driven a car before. Oh, that's a lot of warning lights.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and over there in the big screen, 12 plus inches, that was 15 plus inches, that one. In case you forgot, yeah, exactly, good point. Now, just before we set off, you know, there are, you know, this is Lexus, tons of buttons on these things. There's a ton of buttons down here. And there's like, okay, so that's automatic lights, this must be washing. This is heads-up display, which I don't think you'll be able, you can just about make that out. It's just there. That's heads-up display. This one I have man jumping out a window.
What do you mean man jumping out a window?
It's just like, it's a man with like, it's a
suicide button.
It's seriously, it's just, I don't know what that does. RSCA off.
Roll sensing curtain airbags.
Oh,
I'm such a nerd.
God.
I'm such a nerd.
He's not just a pretty face, is he? But he's not that either, is he? And then you got, down here, you got, I think, collision avoidance. You got power door off, and you got, this opens the back hatch, I believe. Loads of buttons on here. This is for the trip computer, so over here you can see that changes that, and you can just scroll through all of the different things, and we'll keep it on speed. It's 29 degrees outside. I thought it was supposed to cool down.
Yeah.
29 degrees outside. Interesting thing, you can see my mileage on this car, 440 kilometers that I've done in it, and over here you can see just under half a tank, or just over half a tank used. So actually a half a tank I used about 400.
It's a very big tank.
It's got that extra,
it's a double tank,
138 liters in total, so it's a massive capacity. So on here we've got the stereo buttons on this side, and down here all the AC controls, that massive screen that we talked about, which is controlled by this mouse thing, which you don't like, but yeah, I quite like. It's got the enter button on this side. Is there one on here as well, on the other side?
There's an enter button on the other side.
Now, down here, you want to talk us through some of this stuff down here, because that's off-roady stuff.
Off-roady stuff. So here, starting at the right, this is obviously the Sport, Sport Plus, Normal. These are for basically driving modes on road. This is crawl control, so off-road is very handy. You have to engage low range, which is this one. High range is what you use most of the time. If you're stuck, you use low range if you're crawling on rock. That plus crawl control will give you an idiot-proof get out of a stuck situation. Basically, the car will find traction, meter it up. You can even get out of the car, although I don't recommend it, but it can actually...
And just let it do it?
It'll do it. It'll climb out of any situation. It's basically diff locks, effectively. This is height control, so if you plug this, it raises the back. Or maybe the entire car, I'm not sure with these things. This is ECT second, so that starts the car in second gear off-road. Sometimes first gear is too aggressive and digs, so second gear is the right amount of torque.
Especially this is 5.7 litre V8 and what,
it's a beefy thing.
Something horsepower.
300 and nearly 400 horsepower. Yeah. This is the center diff lock, so when you're going off-road, I would recommend you turn this on. And that basically slits the torque evenly between the two axles, so this gives you more traction. This is obviously traction control off and ESP off, so if you hold it down for about 5 to something seconds, it will actually, there you go. Pre-crash brake system unavailable. This is the hill descent on and off, and this is quite interesting. This is the button that I'm not sure what you describe it as. Effectively, it allows the car to make tighter turns in rock situations.
That's kind of what the arrow is suggesting, isn't it?
It basically makes a U-turn. So basically how it works is it breaks one of the wheels. So let the car turn on its axis. It actually works. If you're in a very, very tight situation, the Lexus will turn very, very tightly. So that's what all this stuff does. Okay, well, I think we turn that off. Don't need that anymore. This car is very well equipped, as we've already told you. This is the full platinum thing. Don't know if there's any other information that I need to give you before you set up. It's got the climate code. So this fancy, what is it? It's got fancy Japanese wood trim. That's what it's got. Yeah, fancy wood. New 8-speed gearbox in this. What I do like is it's got proper handle on these things, and it has. And this is interesting. When you turn it, the handle is kind of, pointing towards you. That's because you're not turning the right trip.
Oh.
See, I like it like this.
That's loose.
But that's,
wireless phone charger. Down here there's a little compartment. Charging. There's inductive charging.
I think you need a special case for this.
So you need something special for that. And of course it's got all the adaptive cruise control, radar sensors and all of that sort of stuff. Keeps you safe, lane control.
And Mark Levinson sound, which is
Mark Levinson, 19 speakers, that one.
Where are they hidden 19 speakers?
There are 19 speakers somewhere. And of course there are Bluetooth and everything like that. So although we're in a little bit of sand, but it's not really a, well, you could actually, you reckon you could take this off
with a bit of
into sand without any issues whatsoever. Let me look for the path of least resistance to get out of here. We have got the traction off, so we should be fine. So,
famous last words.
Oh, then the car just joining the road as we are coming onto it. Yeah, not really an issue for this car, was it really?
No.
So there we go. That's full bore. Let's turn the traction back on because we're on the road. Not too bad. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Works its way up through the 8-speed gearbox.
Classic Japanese smooth V8.
Yeah. So this has got, you mentioned it earlier, it's got these modes here. It's got Eco mode, Comfort mode, Sport, and Sport Plus. Plus, also, it's got a customizable mode in this car now, a bit like what Audi has, you know?
Yeah.
Where you
So
can
individual
go through,
mode.
Yeah, so you can go into the system from here, and you can adjust the, I think it's the suspension and the throttle response, the engine response. Ooh, there's a road coming up there.
Yeah.
So you can configure it yourself. Now, honestly speaking though, I don't see why you would bother. This is not really that sort of car. I've tried the Sport and Sport Plus modes in this car already, and all it does is makes the ride worse.
Yeah.
It just makes it a bit bouncy, makes it pogo up and down a little bit more. As it is, I would say it's a little bit, the 21-inch rims do make it a little bit knobbly. What do you reckon?
It's a little firm. It's
Yeah.
a little firm, and it's a little sharp over some of the bumps. It's fine, it's not unacceptable. I would go for the smaller wheel options if they're available.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want the style, this is the one. Also, if you happen to take it off-road, the smaller tire is better.
Yeah.
Smaller wheel, larger one.
So we're coming up to a large roundabout, and I'm just, all the Sport mode does actually do, which I have tested before, is that it just controls the body a little bit more. So it's just, I wouldn't say
doesn't roll so much.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
It's still rolling though.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's cornering flat or anything, but it's just slightly better body control. I mean, we are leaning right over here.
Yeah. we're on the door handles. We're on the door
We're
handles.
on the door handles, but it's gripping and it's going, and it's doing a fair old managing a fair old way of getting around this roundabout.
Yeah.
But it is not a sports SUV.
It's not an RC,
No.
it's not an RX. It's
No.
clearly a big body on frame SUV, but its virtues are that it feels pretty well built. It feels like it lasts for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. It has the traditional LX virtues, I think.
It does, and that's a very good point, because this car basically, if you're familiar with the previous LX models, or indeed the Land Cruiser, there are no surprises here. It's a very familiar car. The feel, the way it feels, the way it drives, the way you sit in this car. You can put your elbow on the wind here, on the windscreen, on the windowsill here, and it's absolutely fine. It feels completely natural. The steering system has now got this new power steering system, which has
Words.
all of these words.
Is it electric power steering?
It is variable adjustable power steering.
So does it get easy at parking speeds?
Yeah, well, theoretically. But to be honest, it's not like I can't say that I've really noticed a difference. I mean, it's not a difficult car to park. You'd think it's a big beastie, right? But it's got the 360-degree
every
camera.
parking space in the UAE is built for a Lexus.
Yeah.
Sized for a Land Cruiser,
Yeah.
signed for a Lexus.
It's got front and rear camera, it's got 360-degree camera, you can see everything. It's not really an issue. It's actually quite simple to park. Brakes, this is a big heavy vehicle, so you need to think ahead.
Yeah.
You do need to think ahead when you brake.
It's not like a car.
No.
It's not like a car. You got to remember they're driving nearly 3 tons of SUV, and it needs time to brake. Not that the brakes are bad.
No.
It will stop.
No.
It's just that it doesn't stop with the sharpness of sort of more monocoque normal cars.
No, you just plan ahead and you're fine. You're okay. So again, it's not a car that I want to
charge about.
No, it's not a car I want to push around very hard. Although it can cruise at high speeds.
Yeah.
Very
Who do you
quietly,
think
considering that it's a big old tall thing, but it's very refined, very quiet in here.
I was going to ask, who do you think is the kind of person who buys this car?
I think this is a very traditional car. I think it's a very traditional car. So I think it's somebody who's had a few of these or similar type of cars, or who has owned a Land Cruiser
It's a
and wants to
commuter
step
vehicle,
up.
yeah.
It's a commuter vehicle that can do long distances very, very comfortably, very
So
easily.
he goes to the office, he goes to the chairman's office,
Yeah.
and then he goes to the farm on the weekends. In the dunes, he goes and checks out the animals.
Yeah, you can go into the dunes, you can go off-road. Family is very comfortable. I've had the family in the back of this car, no problem at all. They're very
Go to
comfortable.
Fujairah, it'll go into the mountains, it'll
Yeah.
go to the rocks, it'll picnic. It'll do pretty much, even with these 21s, it'll do whatever you ask of it.
Pretty much, yeah. So all in all, I think it's another step up. Really, what this generation of LX, or the 2016 generation of LX, represents is a more refined, more classier, more car-like interior, and a bolder, confident front and rear styling. I think this is what this car is all about. The rest of the car is very familiar.
Yeah.
So anything to add to that?
I think the traditional values of the LX are well established. what I would like to maybe see a little different in the future is I'd like to see them clean up this button thing a bit, because all of this stuff is nice, but I don't think people actually use it.
Yeah.
So maybe you could integrate that into some sort of terrain response system that like Land Rover has and so on, and Jeep does. That would be the way to make it simpler, because for people who don't understand what these do, it can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think because for me, I'm like, my goodness, what do all these buttons do? And
but actually, there's only this center diff lock is hugely important. That's what you should press, but it's not immediately obvious.
No.
So a lot of people, this car's fine. You just boot it in normal stock, it'll do everything.
But that's what you want it to do. That's why I don't need these modes as well.
So you don't need this, clean up the space and create more crisper, cleaner console.
I'm not going to go driving this car on a track or driving it hard. I don't need modes. I just go drive and off I go. That's all I need. So all in all, great revision to an already well-established, wonderful product. Full review as ever on motoringme.com, and check us out on, where can they check us out?
YouTube, Facebook and Instagram.
Just search for Motoring Middle East. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, do subscribe and tell your friends. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.